opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a brand new Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, top right-hand corner of the screen, as always, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. And we got a good one for you today. We have the scoreboard from last night ready to go. A lot of teams on the road last night at non-YSN schools. It was a slow night as far as broadcast go. We weren't able to get to a lot of these games. I think we had 4 or 5 games live on the network last night, but we did have a lot of games actually go on. It was just one of those nights where these teams were off on the road, especially in the EBC. You know, Salem goes to Minerva, West Branch goes to Marlington. We'll talk about all that fun stuff, all the results that came in. And then we will also talk about the, of course, games that are happening tonight. We have more crazy girls basketball inside the NE8 that is really like sitting on the edge right now, with a couple of teams still tied at the top with one loss in action tonight. So we'll have to come back tomorrow and see how that all squares out. And then a bunch of other fun games on the network tonight as well. So we're going to talk about all that, but we also have a player profile that we will feature, on today's show. You ever have one of those itches that's like you just can't even ignore it? Just had that right on my forehead. Weird. But we will also preview the games that are going on tonight. But we have a player profile to be featured on today's show, and it is Marissa Levinsky from LeBray. We will feature her player profile on today's show as well. So we got a lot of fun things to unpack, right? A lot of fun things unpacking. Let's get into the scoreboard and talk about the games that were happening last night. Bring it up on the screen as always. Here we go. The YSN scoreboard is brought to you by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. And it is a great and easy tool for the YSN fans to get live updated scores from their favorite teams across the YSN family, whether they are at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the screen for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way to get live updated scores from your favorite teams. Whether it be your heated rivals or your best friends, there's no better place to find out what's going on. The YSN scoreboard can be found at ysnlive.com/scores, and it is once again proudly presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. Here we go. Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Just 2 boys games to talk about from last night. Cheney and Cardinal Mooney. This game was flipped to Cheney late, but it did happen, and we did have Steve Hodge on site. Cheney gets the win, 68-47, the final score. Big win for the Cowboys inside the Steel Valley Conference. And then all other across the way in boys basketball, Sebring against the Academy of Urban Scholars. Sebring gets the win, 56-22, the final score there. Big win for the Trojans. We go to girls basketball. Like I said, a lot of teams on the road with non-YSN schools. East Liverpool will win to Indian Creek. 65-31, Indian Creek gets the win there. Orange on the road against Hawken. And Hawken falls to Orange. A big win for the Lady Lions, 50-35, the final score in that one. Southern on the road against Toronto. They get the 63-42 victory over the Red Knights. Edgewood on the road against Madison, and Madison gets the big victory. Their offense just went off against Edgewood. 78-49. Madison gets the big win inside the conference against Edgewood. Jefferson at home against Geneva. They win 43-32 over the Eagles. Louisville goes to North Canton Hoover, and they fall 48-36 to the Vikings. West Branch inside the conference on the road against Marlington, and they get the big win over the Dukes, 51-21. Final score there. We go into the EBC, Austintown, Fitch, and Canfield. This one was on YSN, Ty Bartell on the call, and Canfield's defense strikes yet again as they win 38-16, the final score in Fitch. You can find a story and post-game interviews with Coach Real and Lori Janone on ysnlive.com and our YouTube page. We thank Ty Bartell for always going the extra mile for the athletes that he covers. Hoban gets the win on the road against Gilmore Academy, 59-34. Final score in that one. Cheney girls go on the road to East for a Steel Valley Conference matchup. They get the win, 55-46. JFK on the road against Rootstown. Rootstown beats them. It's a big test for JFK, and Rootstown, one of the only defenses able to keep that offense under 45 points in the 61-43 win over the Eagles. In the AAC as well, Howland went on the road against Boardman, and Boardman all over the Tigers, 47-31. They had a 23-point lead at halftime. Last but not least, it is Salem going on the road at Minerva and getting the 4-point win for the Quakers, 41-37. Abby Knickerbocker was a big reason why they were able to win. She was in double figures. And then the Davidson Chuck sisters both combined for 14 points. Reese had 8, Riley had 6. And that was a big reason why Salem was able to edge out Minerva in the Lions' Den. So like I said, kind of a slow Wednesday. There weren't even a lot of games total, but then a lot of these games weren't even at YSN schools. We had, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these games out of 8, 12, 13. 4 out of 13 were at a YSN school last night on the girls' side. Boys' side, you had 5 and 6. So, there's one of those nights where the schedule doesn't shake out in our favor. It did on the scoreboard, though. You see a lot of these teams getting a win on the road, especially Southern Local. That's a big win going to Toronto. Their offense starting to find some steam a little bit. They had multiple scorers in double figures last night. That's danger time for the EOAC because you can obviously throw a monkey wrench into the standings. But also when you talk about tournament time, the draw coming up very soon. We're not too far away from the tournament draw, believe it or not, in girls basketball. Southern will be a dangerous team if their offense starts to click a little bit and they start to get dynamic, multiple scoring threats. And we're also starting to see another team that's starting to pick up a little bit of momentum in the middle of the season that had a tough start, and that's Jefferson. You look at Jefferson at home against Geneva, getting the win by 11. It wasn't too long ago Jefferson got their first win of the season, so they're starting to rack up the wins a little bit. They competed pretty well against a very good team over the weekend. They were down by 10 at halftime, ended up losing by 13. Jefferson's starting to gain some traction and starting to get girls to buy into what their philosophy is. Remember, new coach in Jefferson. So with Coach Hannah taking over the girls program. So you're starting to see more and more victories pop up on Jefferson's side. And if it's not a victory, it's a competitive game, a close score. That's not something we saw in the first chunk of the season for the Falcons. So they're a team that could get dangerous a little bit when you stride into February, late February, early March. You're talking about these teams. We always talk about it for basketball. November and December can be a little bit deceiving when you're looking at records and when you're looking at teams, because those 2 months are kind of used to figure things out, especially for new coaches, maybe new players, new players and new roles. November and December is that month where you start to figure it all out. And then when you hit January, you better turn that switch on. And we start to see what teams are going to hit their stride late and what teams aren't. The real basketball is played in January. It's when you really find out the identity of these teams. So I think there are a couple of teams that are using that to their advantage. They had tough Novembers and Decembers, but you're starting to see late December, early January, the scope of these teams take fold a little bit. West Branch getting the big win on the road, they're starting to hit a little bit of a stride. And then there are teams that have been good from the start. Canfield, they haven't lost yet. They're just kind of keeping on with those defensive ways. I think Coach Real probably wants to see a little bit of a scoring uptick, a little bit more efficiency on offense from his team. They've been a little bit slow the last couple of games out on the offensive side of the ball. At Boardman they scored 38. They couldn't really get a flow going, especially in the second half. They were stuck on 32. It seemed like forever. Eventually, you're going to run into a team where you have to score a little bit more than that to win. You're not going to. Defense is great, but eventually you're going to run into offenses that can score even against good defenses. So you're going to have to get into the 40s and 50s. And I'm sure they'll try to figure it out. They have good shooters at Canfield. They have good playmakers. They get a lot of points from their defense. They'll find ways to start scoring a little bit more, but that is just something I notice of late. Their defense is really carrying them, putting the offense on their back and saying, hey, if you score 35 to 40, we'll still win the game handedly. I mean, you'll hold Austintown Fitch to 16 points. You could have scored 28 and you would have won that pretty handedly. So their defense really stepping up big time. That's great. Defense wins championships. That's the cliche. But I do think one of the focuses of Coach Real probably in practices and trying to talk to us, we got to get a little bit more efficient on offense, especially with the half-court sets. We can't just rely on breakaway layups and turnovers leading into easy points. We got to make sure that we're getting efficient offensive looks from our sets. They're not the biggest team in the world. Everyone knows that. Their height is not there, so they have to use other ways to score, which they really were for the first month or so of the season. Like I said, they slowed down a tick lately, but I have confidence that they'll be able to get that back up again. They have really good shooters. They have had really good shooters for a long time. There's something in the water at Canfield right now in the girls basketball program where they can just really shoot well. They'll find their stride again for shooting. And if they do and they keep playing defense like this, you might see scores start to pop up where it's 62 to 22, those kind of scores where it's like, okay, they're really putting it on these teams. That would be a dangerous notion for teams in the AAC if Canfield figures out scoring again, because it's hard enough to score against them. And Howland's going to try to do that next. They had a tough game against Boardman. They looked really good up into this game in the AAC. They got that big win over Warren Harding. They were starting to really put together great performances. But Boardman looking fresh at home. They had multiple double-digit scores with Jocelyn Torres and Michaela Rivera. Rivera had 13. Torres had 12. You had Barrow with 10. So, I'm sorry, Torres had 11. But Barrow with 10. Rivera with 13. So you start to see them start to find a little bit of a groove. That's a big win in AAC play, and dominating win. They had a 23-point lead at a halftime. That's big time for the Tigers. But you're starting to see the identity of these teams really take take full image as we venture towards the middle of January. Then we're going to start to talk about conference lineups and what the conference standings look like, and who's going to take the upper hand when we go into the second time playing these teams. NE8 is about to start second time through. Tonight is, for a lot of teams, the last game of the first stretch of NE8. Some teams have a couple of more games. But like, for example, South Range playing Poland tonight. That is the last game for both teams that they've had to play until they start playing teams twice. So that's when you really start to separate. When you start to play each other twice, separation starts happening in those standings. Right now, there's a log jam at the top. Excuse me. You could say there's 7 teams. You could say 5 of them still have a really legitimate chance to put their name into the ring of trying to win the NE8. South Range would go big ways tonight by beating Poland and trying to climb the standings a little bit there. Poland still at the top, but they're tied with Girard and Lakeview. Those 2 teams are playing tonight for the first time, so that's a big one. Girard versus Lakeview in Girard. Girard trying to protect their home court. They were able to do that against Struthers, who came in tied, but they weren't able to do it against Poland. So they're going to try to protect their home court against Lakeview tonight. So they give themselves as little pressure as possible on the road with those 3 teams, right? The only team in the top tier of that conference that they get at home in the second half of NE8 play is going to be South Range, right? So they play at Struthers, at Lakeview, at Poland in the second round. So right now you got to imagine they're going to have to beat Poland. They're going to have to beat Poland in Poland. But because they took care of business at home against Struthers, that might not be a game that's a must-win for a conference championship, maybe, if it all stems out that way. And you never know what's going to happen with Lakeview. So we'll see what happens with Lakeview tonight in Girard. But if they win that game, then that moves Lakeview down to 2 losses. It would put them and Poland alone at the top if Poland was able to win tonight as well. If it all shakes out where Girard wins and Poland drops 1 to South Range, and all of a sudden you see Girard sitting pretty at the top of the conference all alone. In the matter of a week, this is what we've seen in the NE8. Okay, so going into last Thursday, Lakeview and Poland were all alone at the top with no losses, right? And then Lakeview lost to Hubbard. Poland was all alone, undefeated in the conference, right? Struthers goes into Poland, becomes the first team in the NE8 to ever win at Poland. Okay, we're back tied. 3-way tie now. 4-way tie, actually. So it went from a 2-way tie undefeated to a 4-way tie with Struthers, Girard, Lakeview, and Poland all at the top. And then Struthers went to Girard, and Girard knocked them off. So now it's a 3-way tie at the top with Poland, Lakeview, and Girard. But Girard and Lakeview are playing each other tonight. So from one Thursday to the next, we're going to see a lot of shuffling of those conference standings, right? I love it. Normally in the NE8 by now at this point, you'd be like, well, it's Poland and one team maybe with a little bit of a chance, because that's just how the way the NE8 had gone the last 6 years in conference play. This year, we're starting to see it go topsy-turvy a little bit. Like, Poland's still there, but they're sweating a little bit. Like, they got some teams there that are like, hey, we want this championship. The gap is not as big as it used to be between these teams. So it's going to get fun. It's going to get real fun. We have a couple of good matchups tonight. We'll talk more about that and more about what to look to in those matchups a little bit later on today on the show. But first, we have a player profile to get to, and we're going to go down to Leavittsburg and talk to LeBray from the MVAC, still undefeated in the conference. They have a big one coming up next week, I believe on Tuesday, against Crestview. Obviously, that'll be for first place in the conference. Both teams will go into that, assuming they take care of business tomorrow. Tomorrow's MVAC play as well. Assuming both teams take care of business tomorrow, they'll go into that game both undefeated in the MVAC. It'll be at LeBray on Tuesday, so that'll be a fun one to watch, and we will try to get you ready for that with a couple of LeBray player profiles. We have a couple of Crestview player profiles. One that's already done that was live on the show with Meyer Miller, a couple other ones that are on the way, so don't worry about that. We'll get you covered with the Rebels as well. But we're going to go into LeBray today and hear from Marissa Levinsky, one of their leaders and a senior on this team. A very young roster, but the seniors that are on them, as you'll hear from Marissa Levinsky, very impressive and very strong leaders. So you don't want to sleep on the Vikings ever. And they have really shifted. They had a couple of injuries that a lot of people thought would really put a damper on their season. Right? But all of a sudden, they've found a way to rally, and they're finding new ways to win, and new girls are stepping up in big spots and new roles. So you got something really special, I think, going on in the culture of LeBray for that to happen, for girls to just be able to step into the spot and rally for their teammates that can't play and to say, hey, maybe this wasn't the role that I expected to have this year. Maybe I thought I'd have this year to develop into a varsity player and be able to be ready next year, but I got to be ready now. And they've never missed a beat. They went to Girard and got a win. That's a big, impressive win. We're talking about Girard being the top of the NE8 right now and having a good chance of winning that conference, and LeBray went and beat them. So that tells you how good LeBray is, minus two of their best players that a lot of people thought were the glue of that team, Mariah Jones and Ella Kuzmal, unable to play this year after injuries. But they're still keeping on in LeBray. Marissa Levinsky, a big reason why. We'll hear from her after this commercial break on Running Point, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a bit.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, top right-hand corner of the screen right there, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. One of the ways we do that, if you're new to the show, if you don't know, we try to play player profiles, coaches' corners, and interviews that we get across the YSN family and community every day. We try to get at least one highlighted for you to share the stories of these great players that we have in the area. We're going to continue to do that today. Marissa Levinsky from LeBray is on tap. She will be the player profile featured in today's show, and that is coming at you now. We hope you enjoyed the interview from Leavittsburg. We're here with the LeBray girls basketball player profile. We are joined by senior Marissa Levinsky. Marissa, thank you so much for coming on talking to us again.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we had a chance to catch up with you last year as a junior. You were kind of getting your feet wet with the whole upperclassman leadership responsibilities on the team. Now, here you are as a senior. What's it been like to grow even more as a leader and to take more responsibilities on the team this year?
It's wonderful. It's definitely different because I'm the oldest on the team now. So instead of me looking up to someone, I have my coaches that are the only ones older than me. But yeah, it's wonderful. I want to be that player that all of the other players look up to, basically just the fun senior that they have to talk to, basically.
Now everyone's looking up to you. What's that like to know that, you're the leader, you're the oldest person on the team, and that people that want to be the future of this program are looking to you on how to do it?
It's pretty nice. It's a great feeling, and nobody hesitates to make me feel loved, and just they all do their best at making me feel great and that person that they look up to. So
Now, how are you handling senior year? I mean, there are a lot of emotions that come with it. It's the last ride. Every game, is at least the last at something. What's
yeah,
it like to deal with the emotions?
it's definitely a lot. Um, I think it's just now starting to set in that I'm a senior and I won't be here next year. Um, it is a lot of emotions, like you said. There's happy moments, there's sad moments, but I'm just trying to live them all up and enjoy it while I have it.
You went through a whole senior season in volleyball. How much did that kind of prepare you for the emotions of the senior season of basketball?
Yeah, that that definitely like set the line that it's over with. Um, I've been playing volleyball since 7th grade, and knowing that it's over, like that really set the tone for me, and it got me really emotional for basketball. But yeah.
So here you are, you have your senior season. Talk about some of the things that you wanted to do and the goals that you set for this last year, the things that you wanted to get done before you graduated.
This year, I really for basketball, I really wanted to focus on being the best teammate just on and off the court. I wanted to make sure that everybody felt like they can speak to me. If they needed something, they had me. And I wanted to also work on my personal goals as just trying to excel and be better than I was each year.
Now, we don't want to harp on this too much but it's the reality of your team. You're dealing with some injuries on the team that are very unfortunate. Very key members of your team are going down. What's it like to be a senior and trying to keep everyone's spirits high and try to galvanize some of the younger players that probably didn't think they'd have as much floor time as they do now, and to see them come on and not miss a beat and try to be a leader through this very tough situation that you find yourself in as a team?
Yeah, whenever the injuries happened, it was very hard on our team just because we're all really close. And whenever everything happened, it was just we all had to try our best to stay positive and play for each other and with each other. Um, my goal was just to be there and always support the girls because a lot of people stepped up and they're doing a fantastic job at stepping up, and I'm just very proud of them, and I want them to just know that.
How much do you guys try to win every night for the players that can't be out there with you? How much do you try to use that to galvanize you guys every night?
We definitely try and use that the most. Seeing them sitting on the side, you can see it's sad when they can't play. You know how sad that is. And we see that, and we want to play for them and just try our best. It really does help seeing them, and we just strive to do our best just for them.
Now, this next question is probably kind of scary to the teams that have to play you because you were so good last year, but what ways do you think you've improved this year? What parts of your game do you think you've gotten even better at now that you're a senior?
This year, I think because I'm now old, not old, but like a senior, I think I am trying to focus on most of the fundamentals and just being smart with the game. Turnovers are going to come here and there, but I want to always be focused. I think that's my main goal this year, is just to always be focused, and if I have a little mistake, just go get the next one.
Have you always been a player that's been able to shake off mistakes, or do you think you've been able to grow in that as the years have gone on, being able to just, next play mentality?
I think that it's something I grew with, definitely. Um, it wasn't nearly bad as it was in middle school. Middle school, I used to get really embarrassed about some little mistakes I've made, but growing up in the environment and the program that we're in now, everybody's so supportive, and it makes you feel better about a mistake of letting it go.
One of the things we talked about last year was how much your confidence went up your junior year and how much you kind of saw yourself succeed, which gave you the confidence to go out there and do it every night. Now that you're a senior and you've went through last year and you went through all the success you had last year, where's your confidence level at? Like, well, what do you how confident do you think you are in yourself?
I would say I am confident this year. I'd say even more confident than last year. And I think a lot of that confidence comes from, this is my last year playing, especially for LeBray. I want to try and go out there and just enjoy every single game, and confidence plays a big key in that for me.
Everyone has a different way to get into that confident mindset before a game. What gets you into into the zone?
It's very weird, but in my corner, I have like a little corner in the locker room, and before every game, I turn on my little lights. They're like colorful, and it just, seeing the colors just sparks my energy of like, it's game time. So I think that is probably one of the biggest things that gets me ready, is putting on my lights.
Does that mean when you're on the road, you have to find a little corner in the locker room and make it your corner?
It depends on what the locker room looks like. I just try and find the cleanest spot sometimes.
Whatever it takes. So what is it about the color? Is it like just something that you've always had? Is it something that you kind of found out about yourself? What is it about that you think gets yourself locked in?
I am a very I don't even know how to explain it. I love colors. I love vibrance and everything like that. And I like to express myself. So when it comes to the locker room, I like my locker to just kind of express me and reflect who I am. And I would say that the colors and the lights just kind of do that for me a little bit.
Let's explore it, because you are someone that likes to express yourself. What other ways do you kind of try to let your character shine through your game, through your preparation, through basketball? What kind of other ways do you think your personality comes through?
Definitely at practice. I stay focused at practice, but we have times where we're just allowed to be goofy and be ourselves. And being with the girls, I can just be myself, and like we have jokes and everything. And sometimes the music will be playing, and we'll just sing songs and things like that. So I think that's how I kind of let myself out at basketball.
We have to also ask you about Coach Rowe and what it's been like, and what you are trying to treasure most about being coached by her one more year as a senior. What makes her so special to you, and what are you going to miss the most about being coached by her after you graduate?
Coach Rowe has got to be my favorite coach by far. She's always been there for me no matter what, and she supported me. Even in middle school, they would come in and see our games, and she'd always tell me, great job. She's a wonderful lady. She's nothing but positivity, and she puts others before herself, especially our basketball team. We're a big priority for her, and a lot of love comes from her. But she does her best at making me feel comfortable at basketball all the time. If I make a mistake, she lets me know that everything's going to be okay. Don't let it bother me. And she always supports all of us throughout the game, no matter what.
All right, when it comes to senior year in the classroom, some seniors we talked to, they did the work their first 3 years, and their senior year is a year where they can take some, electives and kind of take it easy a little bit. Are you in that situation, or do you still have some tough ones to get rid of before you graduate?
I would say I'm in that situation that most of the other seniors are. I don't have very many main core classes. I took 2 CCP classes again this year. One is for English, and another was just like in a little elective thing. and then I have my math class. I'm in calculus this year. Our teacher is wonderful. He does a great job at explaining everything. So I wouldn't even say I'm really struggling this year. I just have a lot of free periods that I have time to make up anything that I really need to.
What does that do for your basketball, knowing that the schoolwork is a lot less stressful this year, and you're able to spend more time on basketball and thinking about what you have to do to win that particular night?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's amazing coming home and not having homework or something that's due or a test to study for that's super important. It lets me have my time with basketball, and then after basketball is done, I have time to just finish my day off and then get ready and get some rest.
Let's also talk about the future. What's the plan after high school? What are some things that you have in the future for yourself after you graduate?
College has always been the thing for me. I knew that I was going to go to college ever since I was young. It's just I've always enjoyed school, and I think that I would really like it. So my plans are for college, and I've applied to Kent State at Salem for their radiology program. It took a lot of time for me to figure out what I wanted to be. I went through so many different pathways and career paths that I thought I would enjoy, but radiology really stuck out, and I think I'm going to try and be a radiology technician whenever I'm older.
What made radiology stand out to you? What made that the final place that you wanted to land?
I've always wanted to work in the medical field, but I had a feeling that I couldn't handle certain situations if I was a doctor or if I was a nurse. And I wanted to try and focus on, I love school, but I really have always wanted to be and work on my career. So I think that I wanted to try and be out of college as soon as possible. So seeing the radiology program and the need for it in the future, and I think it just stuck out the most there.
In what ways are you going to keep your competitive nature alive? Because you won't be. I assume you won't be playing basketball anymore.
I don't think so.
So, what ways are you going to? You can't just turn that off. You can't turn off being a competitor. So, what ways are you going to try to keep that alive?
I'm not sure. I would say I'm a competitive person. When it comes to certain things, I just always try to strive and be the best. So I think when it comes to college and my career in the future, I think I'm just going to strive to be the best that I can and to complete certain tasks or challenges that come along the way.
Do you think down the road, after you're done with college, we might see a Coach Levinsky in the future?
That has always been one of my biggest dreams too, was being a coach. I learned the love of the sport from my coaches and from my teammates and the fans. My parents didn't play sports growing up, so whenever I moved to LeBray, I took up sports and I just found the love for it, and everyone around helped. And if I could do that for another kid, I think it would make me feel really good about myself.
Who knows? In a couple of years, we might have a coach's corner with Marissa Levinsky. Get you back in the fold with YSN. I do want to talk about a couple more things. When you graduate, you walk down that aisle, you get that diploma. What are going to be some things that you're really proud of yourself for accomplishing at LeBray, whether it be in the classroom, on the court? What are some things that you're really proud of yourself for?
That's a big question. I'm very proud of myself for always just striving to do my best. If little challenges came along the way, there's been emotions, but I've always gotten through it. And I think the best thing that I'm proud of the most is just getting through everything.
What about some things that you think that make you proud that you're going to be graduating from LeBray and that you represented the school system?
Well, this year I got the homecoming queen. So the whole school voted on who they would like out of all the nominees. And that made me feel really good about myself, just because one of my main focuses for myself is just to always be that person for someone and to just always be kind. And seeing that all of that has paid off, that really made me feel good about myself.
I didn't realize we were talking to royalty. feel like I should be bowing and okay. You get the pleasure of having the Christmas themed questions because we're getting you before Christmas. So what's your favorite Christmas movie out there?
I've never really watched Christmas movies growing up. But I would have to say The Grinch with Jim Carrey.
That's a great one. What about songs? Do you listen to more Christmas songs at least?
Oh, yes, I do like Christmas songs. I really like Last Christmas. That one, I don't know, just the beat and everything kind of sticks out.
All right, and then what's the best Christmas gift you think you've ever gotten?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. My parents, they definitely do spoil me and my brothers. Every year they say it's not going to be a big Christmas, and it always is. They always try their best. So I'd say the best Christmas gift is just being able to spend every Christmas with my family.
They slow play you, huh? You're not going to get a lot of presents this year. Boom. What about we'll flip that. What's something that you think you gotten someone that you were really excited to give them because you knew it was going to be special? What's some of the good gifts that you think you've given?
The one that sticks out the most is a gift that I gave to my grandpa last year. My pap, he comes and watches me at every single sporting event. He's always there. He's there before my parents. He always comes up to me, and he has a special place in my heart. And it's not a big gift, but it had a lot of heartful moments and memories go into it. I made him a shirt. We had a little saying because he used to drive a van where it would say beep, beep, toot, toot, and then we'd say pap. And I made a shirt that it said that because he just got rid of his van, and it was really hard for him because it had so many memories. But I got him that last year, and he really enjoyed it, and he still wears it.
That's awesome. What's on your wish list this year? Do you have anything that's on that list to Santa?
I had a really hard time making a wish list this year. I guess I just have everything that I've always wanted. But the biggest thing that I've put on there is perfume, just because I always love smelling good. So that's on there a lot.
How about an MVAC championship, right?
Yes.
Right, give me one of those. Awesome. Before we let you go, you've been a part of these player profiles before. You know how we do it. We like to give you the chance to take the limelight off yourself for a minute and thank all the people in your life that support you, that are there for you. And I want to give you the time to give out shout outs and thank yous before we let you go.
Thank you. I'd like to first start off for my team and my coaches. They're wonderful girls to play with, wonderful coaches. They don't hesitate to make my day amazing. Even if I have a bad day at school, I know that I'm going to have a fun time at practice or my game. Definitely my family. My family supports me through every little decision I make. They're always there for me. My little brother, not my older brother, he's my middle brother, the middle child. They don't hesitate to always put a smile on my face, make jokes with me. My parents are always supporting me, telling me how proud they are of me. I thank them so much for that. My grandpa and my grandma, that they're always watching me and looking over me and just trying to do the best that I can for them. And all of the fans, I really do appreciate all the fans and the refs that come out and support us. It makes the game more enjoyable. And I just want to thank everybody.
All right, Marissa, we want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come talk to us about your senior season. We wish you the best of luck the rest of this year, and we can't wait to talk again real soon.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That was Marissa Levinsky from LeBray joining us a little bit earlier on this season. Happy to share her player profile here on Running Point today. If you missed any part of it and you want to see that interview in its entirety, it can be found at ysnlive.com with a story attached, so you can learn all about Marissa in the reading. If you like reading better than watching a video, you can read about her, and then you can also see that video on our YouTube page at YSN Live as well. If you are so kind while you're over there checking out that player profile on our YouTube page, we would ask you, please to subscribe. It helps us out because it lets YouTube know that we're a channel that people want to see. So if you subscribe to that, it'll put us in the algorithm and also give some videos some likes and some comments But also hit that notification bell if you're already subscribed, because we put up videos every single day. We're putting them up right now. DJ's up there getting some profiles up from East Liverpool, and we put player profiles up there. We put coaches' corners. We put post-game interviews. We put highlights. We put some full games up there as well. You never want to miss a minute of any of the action. So make sure to go over to our YouTube page, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff to our channel. We would love to have you on there, and you don't want to miss any of the stuff that we post on our YouTube. Let's head back into the scoreboard on ysnlive.com and check out the games that are going to be going down tonight across the YSN family. We are going to January 9th, which is today on Thursday. We'll start with boys basketball. We have 10 games across the YSN family going on. Badger and St. John. That'll be at Rocket Morgan Fieldhouse. Starting at 3 o'clock is your start time for that one. The girls are also going to be playing there. They should have started right now, so they should be in action at Rocket Morgan Fieldhouse. Badger and St. John playing at 3 o'clock as well on the boys' side. Camel will be going to McDonald tonight in MVAC play. They have moved that game. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking the girls are tomorrow. MVAC. I'm still not used to girls on Tuesday, Friday, boys on Monday, Thursday. So the boys, Camel will go to McDonald tonight. That's going to be a really fun one. McDonald trying to bounce back from their first conference loss. And they don't have any time to rest because they have Sway Rodriguez and that high-powered Camel offense coming to town that they have to try to deal with. This should be a good one, a sneaky good one on the other side of the MVAC in the gray tier. Garfield coming to town against Crestview. Crestview, one of those teams that we talked about starting to find some strides, starting to improve a little bit as we get closer to the middle and end of January. So they're going to have something to say when the G-men come into town. We have a good one going on at 5:45 tonight as Hoban hosts Warren JFK. That should be really fun. Brookfield goes to Newton Falls tonight. LeBray traveling to Southeast. We have Liberty going to Champion. Lowville will be at Jackson Milton. Middle Ridge will go to Western Reserve. And then Perry goes to Orange tonight. So all YSN matchup in the CVC. Girls basketball action, we have once again St. John and Badger playing in Cleveland right now. We have Wyndham and Harding. Fairport Harding will be in action tonight. We have Maplewood going to Bristol. That's a big rivalry that we're new to, but we're so excited to be a part of, as Maplewood into the YSN family, and they take on a big rival tonight on the road in Bristol. Lakeview goes to Girard. First place in the NE8, or at least a share of first place in the NE8 on the line. They're both tied at the top with Poland with one loss in the conference. Perry will go to West Geauga tonight. Perry looking to stay hot. They've won a couple of games in a row, including that big one over Madison all over the weekend in overtime. Just overtime. Sorry. Columbiana will be on the road against East Palace, Latonia tonight. I don't know why I saw a bulldog instead of a bear there. I got ahead of myself because East Palestine is on the road as well. They're traveling to United inside the EOAC. Indian Creek goes to Beaver Local tonight. We have Lisbon heading to Wellsville. Springfield, a non-conference matchup against Salem. They're hoping to have better luck outside the MVAC. They have one loss in the MVAC. Every other loss this season has come outside the conference. So they're hoping for better luck outside the conference tonight as they travel to Salem. Quakers fresh off that big win by 4 points at Minerva. Edison will be on the road against Heartland Christian. We have South Range in Poland. This is a big rivalry. It's more times than not come down to these two in the NE8. More teams in the mix this year, but still one that has a lot on the line. South Range trying to keep their hopes alive. They need to get a win tonight if they want to stay alive inside the NE8. And Poland, of course, wants to stay into that first place spot with one loss in the conference. Another big one is Struthers tries to bounce back and stay within the striking distance, same as South Range with a win in Niles. Niles trying to spoil the party. We have Southern. They are going to be hosting Valley Christian. Warren Harding goes to Cardinal Mooney tonight. We have East Liverpool on the road against Harrison Central. We have Beaver. They're going to be at home. They're playing really well. Lincoln Park comes to town. Mohawk will be on the road against Quaker Valley. And then Garfield and Crestview are playing a boys-girls doubleheader. So the girls will play at 7. They're going to be the nightcap tonight. So the boys will play first tonight against the G-men. And then the Crestview has the girls' game as the nightcap. You'll get to see Addison Rhodes and Lavraine Gaskins and company put on the primetime matchup tonight in Crestview. So those are your games tonight. Let's also get you the games that will be on ysnlive.com and the broadcasters that will have you covered. See, we are on Thursday, so we will have plenty of action tonight. We start with boys basketball. Sam Torres will be at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse with Badger and St. John, so that's covered there. He is also doing the girls' game, so you can find that live right now on ysnlive.com. Cooper Chavone will be at Champion for their matchup with Liberty. We have Steve Hodge at Western Reserve for the matchup with Middle Ridge. Ty Bartell will be at Hoban for their matchup with JFK. So, that one's going to overtime because that's his Ty's style. Noah Ricks will be at Orange for their matchup with the Pirates. Girls basketball, I will be at Poland for their big matchup with South Range. We have Dakota Kotzel at Niles for their matchup with Struthers. Noah Doty will be at Heartland Christian for their matchup with Edison. Luke Davis will be at Salem with Springfield coming to town. Valley Christian goes to Southern. Warren Harding will go to Mooney for their matchup with Eric Hughes on the call. And Lincoln Park at Beaver will be covered by CJ Schroeds. So all those games will be live on the network tonight, ysnlive.com/live. The school at Orange will also cover their swim match tonight with Shakers. So swimming will also be on the network tonight, 5:30 start time there. Orange versus Shaker in the pool. So you don't want to miss swimming on YSN either. The Orange students in school doing a good job at taking care of all their needs. Once again, ysnlive.com/live is where you can find all those games. Make sure to tune in tonight. Go out there if you can and support these wonderful athletes that do put in the work all night. So get out there. But if you can't, we have you covered on ysnlive.com. That'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. We want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Enjoy all the basketball tonight, and we'll be back before you know it on Running Point, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Thanks again for tuning in. We will see you.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.